Oh, good morning.
Oh man.
How is everybody?
And we're off. And we're off.
And we're off.
Day 3 of this shortened week. Margaret's only got a half a head there. There she goes. She's rising.
Now
There
I'm
she goes.
awake.
She's rising like the sun. Good job.
Oh, oh.
So
How
remember,
did everybody survive yesterday?
Barely.
so far,
Not that anything really
It wasn't a
monumental
pretty
happened.
picture yesterday, that's for sure.
remember, we're playing the big picture. We're painting the big picture, not daily pictures. So
We're painting the big picture, but we're looking at the small picture down to the millisecond. That will eventually be the big picture. You
no,
following me?
now you just blew it. Now I can't even talk anymore. You're so far beyond me, Trent.
Uh-huh.
And you're a deep thinker.
What was that phrase you just said? I'm sitting.
I'm sitting here beside myself.
Right. There we go. All right, you want to get rolling?
I suppose.
I
Okay.
gotta get on the road before gas prices go any higher. Okay,
That's
so
right.
you gotta.
You got to buy
Oh,
some
you,
gas companies to subsidize, right? You
Yeah,
got to buy
yeah,
that's
we
a
the
had we
next
had,
great
time.
we had
idea.
Yeah,
several on the list this week.
era.
Then you saw what happened Tuesday. I did gas and oil it moves with the news. And Tuesday the war was over and all the gas prices or the oil stocks went down. And then Wednesday, the war is back. So anyway,
I don't think
anyway,
this
we're
war is
we're
going
waiting
anywhere.
for market went down, Dow went down about 3/4 yesterday. The Nasdaq almost a point, S&P down 0.84. Today is all about, and it used to be more important, but I don't know how much it is anymore. But the FOMC meeting gets over, they're going to announce their action on interest rates or not action. The anticipation is nothing's going to happen, which is really interesting because every other central bank has been lowering rates for the last 6 to 8 months, except for ours. They're going to come out with this as a dot plot thing that everyone makes a big deal of, where they put a dot where they think interest rates are going to be in the future. It looks like something a kindergarten class would do to me, but I'm not at that level. So, and then Powell's press conference, always fun to watch because the statement comes out, the markets react. Powell comes out and he usually destroys the market. Not always, but he says
Not
something.
today, Mark. Today's the
Okay.
day.
Okay. Today's
It's
the day.
coming. Today's the day. They're gonna surprise you, and you're gonna be all like sending roses to the guy.
Okay. I don't think I'll ever send roses to a guy, let alone Jerome Powell, but there's always that shot, but
Some of those
not a very good
Nebraska
one.
flowers, whatever.
No, we call those weeds. So
You go.
uh,
You may want to go out and get some of those and send it out.
yeah, anything that has
That'll
a flower on
express
it
that
here
for tomorrow.
in the field, we usually spray. Okay, housing starts and building permits today. Geopolitical is still going on. Now we've got the administration is deciding on whether they're not going to get involved and drop a bunker buster on on this final nuclear facility in Iran. Iran put out a video last night. I don't know if you saw it, indicating they have a nuclear weapon, and if the United States got in, we're going to have Armageddon. There was a video, and it was like a hand rubbing a nuclear missile with the nuclear symbol on it. It was really kind of weird. But maybe that's their last card, or maybe that's, I wouldn't be doing that, because if you're threatening nuclear war against a country, then that gives them more thoughts and power into saying, well, if you're going to do that, we need to get rid of you. So I don't know. We'll find out. There's nothing I can do about it. So
No, we're not going to go see Anita. Come on.
Can't worry about it that much. Okay, so markets are up just a little. We're going to be this way probably until we get the Fed or something happens, and geopolitically. Oil's going up. They're worried about oil hitting 80, but Trent's going to be on the road in his big pickup truck, so he's not going to worry about it, right, Trent?
Oh yeah, never.
Yeah. So, and the 10-year's down a little. So let's go look at a little charts here. Get into the fun stuff. Okay. Put this up. Sure. as far as the indices are, it's like second verse, same as the first. Again, riding right along resistance for 6 days. Got the 9 coming up. We're going to open right about where we close or a little below. Still have resistance, seeing a roll over the MACD, roll over the stochastic, seeing the momentum drop a little bit, heading, 3 indices or oscillators heading down. We'll see what happens today, but nothing exciting. Same with the Dow. The Dow popped down below the 200. We're playing right along more of the 200. We got above it for several days, and now again, couldn't get back above it yesterday. Tried, got up to resistance, came back down. Now we're going to open a little bit lower. Look at the oscillators. They look worse than in the S&P. Again, these don't really have the big mags. In the Dow is only 30 of the big stocks. Qs, same kind of thing, kind of a yawner, right along resistance, right where we're going to open. 9 is right at resistance. We'll see, oscillators are trending down. We're just waiting to see what happens today. I'm not sure either way. Whatever the Fed comes out is going to move us out of these doldrums, but who knows? So there's the Qs. Gold. You think about gold and everything that's going on, but it's just rolling right along resistance also, and Bollinger Bands are sideways, starting to see a little dip on the stochastic. Just kind of boring. And these indices, we look at what are we looking at? Bitcoin. I think it's just hovering around the 105 mark. Yep, 105. It's come down. 50 seems to be a pretty good level of support. We hit here, we hit here, we hit here, and we hit yesterday. We're about 104.6, 105 level. You can see we played along this resistance level quite a bit. If it ever does pop, and you see the 50 is coming up, so the resistance is getting closer, or the support is getting closer to the resistance. And at some point, you'll see something pop out one way or the other. But right now, again, Bollinger Band sideways, just sideways movement, waiting for something to happen. NVIDIA, same thing. I mean, it's sideways, right along resistance. I saw Amazon's coming out with a new CPU kind of thing. I put it in the news. You can go look. They want to try to cut down the cost of the expensive CPUs from NVIDIA. So we might start seeing more competition for NVIDIA. Also, you can go in the Discord and see that story. Meta, same, just boring. Google, Google, same, right up against resistance, flattening out. Bollinger Bands rolling over a little bit on the oscillators. But we are above the 200 here. We are above the 9, but right up against resistance. And again, that 9 hitting resistance. We've seen that story before. Tesla. I mean, where's all the excitement? The excitement, we're going to open up right here, right above the 9 again. On Tesla, we're still down on the oscillators. Remember when it was exciting? These guys went up like 10% every day. Apple's just had issues, and we're going to close down a little right along the lower Bollinger Band, underneath the 9, underneath the 20, both coming down, underneath the 50, and way underneath the 200 for Apple. PLTR, Palantir. Palantir's right up against resistance again. You got a little bit of sell orders at 145.79. We popped up 2 days ago and hit it. Kind of went up to the Bollinger Band yesterday and then closed back down below resistance. We did have a nice little kind of an uprise here, during the beginning of the Iran conflict. I'm really surprised Palantir hasn't popped more with, that they seem to be more into conflict would make them more desirable, but it hasn't really seen that big pop that I would imagine in Palantir. And I'm not a huge follower of Palantir, and you guys can talk about it in a little bit, but what you think. But I'm not seeing it yet. Netflix, just sideways, just boring downward on the oscillators. Anyway, so let's get in the under 200. We had a downturn yesterday. Here's Whirlpool. Whirlpool came back in with inside the Bollinger Band. I mean, we got into it or put it on the list back here. It's still following upwards. This is Whirlpool of all things, you know, but it's following the upper Bollinger Band. You got some sell orders at 94.73. Here's cost basis. Always put in, you know, some type of trailing stop wherever you want it to be. You can see there was some resistance support at this level, just above the 9. You might be able to want to put one in there. If you want to keep a little more profits, you might put it in at a level right at the opening where we were 3 days ago. That's how I do it. If it comes down hits, you're out. You know, so it's just up to your risk tolerance. Amgen, these are 3 that we've been in for a while. Amgen, we talked about yesterday. We had trouble getting above this 200, and we did again yesterday. We talked yesterday about this was support, and you might want to put a stop in right above the support or a little below it, and that probably would have been a good deal. You've been out. You would have been in at this level and out there. You're still above your cost basis, but you're coming up against the 20, which is support. So, you know, maybe take some off if you haven't already, if you're in the Amgen trade. And then AES. Remember, we're not in these. We don't love these stocks. AES, we did the same thing. We talked about how it's going sideways and that you might want to put in a sell stop limit, you know, right along where the support is. When we opened up, and if you would have had that, it would have hit here. You would have been in here, out here, so you'd have made a profit on that. So that's how swing trading works. You're not always going to get the tops. You're not always going to get the bottoms, but we play in the middle and we take our profits and then we move on. So that's how we would play at AES and be out of AES at this point. There's another one that is kind of in the under 200 list and it's still kind of moving up. Illumina, just kind of a slow move up between support and the upper Bollinger Band. We do have some sells at 92.27 and again under the 200. When we look at our watch list, we talked about Dollar Tree. These are over the 200. Dollar Tree's come up, nice run. It's hit resistance. That's normally where I would get out. That doesn't mean we can't go up to sell orders. But, you know, again, we're playing small ball in between. We're not going for grand slams. So on a swing trade, this would have been a nice swing trade. And you still had the opportunity for 2 days to get out at resistance. We talked about ExxonMobil was on the list, and we had to kind of a interesting. If ExxonMobil, we were playing with the 200, I said, wait for the back test, and we got it. And then you can see with this Iran conflict, we popped up again on ExxonMobil. So at least we're above the 200. We back tested the 200. We're outside the Bollinger Band. You know, we're going to see that probably come back in. Watch out for resistance selling at 116.08. But ExxonMobil and like all the energy stocks are doing pretty well. Talked about Micron. Micron's been doing well right along the upper Bollinger Band. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back in. Then started its journey up again, and we're hitting right on the Bollinger Band for resistance. Got some sell orders at 124.21. Got support down here at the 9. So Micron continued to move up yesterday. ADM was on the watch list. ADM had a nice run, got above the 200 and still running outside the upper Bollinger Band. I haven't even looked to see why Archer Daniels Midlands is doing this, but again, the charts tell us what to do. This come back inside. Again, we put it on back in this area. So just be careful. And remember, he's got upwards sell orders at 55.63. Got support at the 200. So there are some watch lists, even though the markets are kind of all over the place. Talk about financials. I was looking at the financials. JP Morgan has a nice chart running between the 9 and the upper Bollinger Band. Got some sell orders at 274. We closed at 269. Support at the 9. Okay, so JP Morgan, if you come down, you know, you got a crossover of the MACD. So be aware of that. This isn't like a real big shooter up, but you do see the Bollinger Band spreading out a little bit. And then if you go through and you look at like Goldman Sachs, we're seeing the same kind of upward movement, just really slow. But you do have some sell orders right above it. So we're seeing some pockets of good run ups. Again, ExxonMobil we looked at, CDX. Again, CVX has come up right on, this is Chevron oil, right on the 200. You know how much of a level of resistance that can be. We'll see if the oil prices keep going up. If oil hits 80, you'll probably see that roll right through there. Other ones, retail. We've had the retail sales yesterday, and they kind of hit all the retail. Here's Home Depot, okay, Costco. So the consumer is not doing as well as they once were thought to be, and it's hitting our retailers. Walmart, TJX, just TJ Maxx. Oops, not TJZ. TJX. Ross stores. So again, when you see retail and you see why retail sales are down, you're seeing it's hitting the stores too. Let's look at a few others here. Berkshire B. Berkshire, you know, it almost could have pulled you in, but it didn't close above a candle above that 9. Now we've come down and we are so close to the 200. I'll be watching this today, see if we bounce or we go a little bit under and go up. This is going to be key for Berkshire, but this may be an entry point at some point. It's not now. Okay, I want to see it get above the 9. I want to see it stay above the 200, and I want to see these oscillators start to come back up. But we finally have reached our destination after the shareholder meeting. You know, way back here, we finally reached our destination, and we'll see what happens with Berkshire. David was talking about Reddit. Reddit really zoomed up yesterday, but then came right back down. And that's about where we're going to open today, outside the upper Bollinger Band. Again, a lot of people might have chased that up just to be disappointed as it came back down. So he's got to be kind of careful on these when they take off, because you're dealing against not only retail emotion, but you're dealing against logarithms and of bigger companies, and they'll come and rip your face off if you try to chase some of these. CRWV, you guys have really hit a good one on oops, wrong one. Sorry. Okay, why am I not getting this? Where's CoreWeave? CRWV?
CR.
There it is, CoreWeave. So CoreWeave bounced up and actually eliminated its upper resistance level or intermediate resistance level. It's come up. It's going to open right about where it was closed. So this has been a nice run. Got a little bit outside sideways, which we do see. You know, stocks will consolidate and go back up. Just, you know, be aware of where your support and resistance are. And but CoreWeave's been a pretty good run for you guys, and you have to admit. Okay, UNH. We'll see what happens to UNH. Just, I mean, I don't think these Bollingers can get much closer than they are right now. I've never seen really this close. We had a crossover of the stochastic, and that was during the dividends, the $2.21. We'll see what happens. We're still above the Bollinger, still not enough to get me into this yet. I don't see momentum yet. I mean, we're at 39. I need to see this start moving this way for me to get interested in UNH, but these are the kind of stocks we like to look at on our watch list. AMD, David brought this up. AMD got above the 200. I always like to see, you know, that it can maintain it with a back test, but it's outside the Bollinger Band, and you got some sells at 130.37. So that worked out good for David. We talked about BBWI coming down and hitting yesterday on its support, and then went down. We're talking about when this comes back up. You know, these are the kind that we like to watch. Would I buy into this right now? No, not yet. But I want to see full candles. I want to see reversal of the 9. We're starting to see the RSI. I want to get the RSI up more towards 50. But again, you got the Bollinger Bands rolling down, but you have a little bit of room, but not where I'd get in at this point. But these are the kind of reversals I like to see. But, you know, Bed Bath & Beyond, you know, is what it is. So, okay, that's all I got. Tomorrow we don't have a meeting, and the market's closed, so everybody gets a day off from trading. Trent?
All right. I'm super excited about today because I'm going to be super optimistic.
There you go.
Uh,
Be still my
uh,
heart.
so volatility continues to be in this range. Where yesterday closed up to 21.59, up 12, basically 13%, which is a pretty sizable jump in volatility. And then today it's looking to open around 21.28, so a little less than yesterday. When it comes to, I mentioned the 3-month average of the VIX. This is where we are right now. July 2nd is when this big candle here rolls off. And that's when volatility funds are likely to adjust their allocations, which could be a more of a bullish environment as long as um, somebody doesn't drop something on somebody close to home. Um, So basically, we're still stuck in this range between 80 on SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, 585 and 6,100. That's sort of where the market has pinned, um, the option market has pinned the S&P 500 in a sense. And so we're in a positive gamma environment, what they do is they'll sell calls on the top end and they'll buy puts on the bottom end, basically trying to pin to a neutral stance when it comes to the overall market direction. Now, Friday, option expiration for the 20th represents about $4.2 trillion in notional open interest options. So what that means is once that expires, that pinning action that we're seeing between 585 and 610 will release. And so we'll start to see some adjustments. It could be positive um, for markets to go higher and basically take the leash off markets. And you can see more volume and volatility come into the market, pushing markets higher. Right now, when I initially pulled up the VIX this morning and where it's to open up, I sort of was like, wow, that's a really interesting setup here. On the 12th of June, uh, we closed below a resistance level here, or 19, which is the investable, below that is the investable bucket. We busted through that on the Friday the 13th. How ironic that was, and then pulled back to support in at 19 roughly on Monday the 16th, popped back up Tuesday the 17th, and today Wednesday the 18th we're opening up. And just to me, I like just looked at this and it was like, oh, volatility could explode higher. What would that cause that to go higher? What would cause it to get in the F bucket? Well, the Fed, really. That's really where this is pinned to is what comments is the Fed going to make? Are they going to say, hey, we're going to lower interest rates by 100 basis points? We're going to drive the 2-year down and we're going to make the cost of borrowing. Let me get to it here if I can find it. So this would be the 2-year here, um, and drive Fed funds rate, which is the one in the right hand, the blue, which is at 4.33, down towards the 2-year, which is at 3.95, or even lower. If it did 100 basis points, maybe drive it down to 3.3. What would that do for our economy? Well, it eliminates $300 billion in interest payments the United States has to make every year. That would be positive. Second of all, it would make borrowing on a short-term basis for you and I a lot cheaper. And then we would go out and spend that money frivolously on stupid stuff in the economy and drive our GDP up. Why wouldn't you lower interest rates? Because you politically are in a position of, I don't like that guy. And I think that's what we're playing with here. And so when I look at this volatility setup, my first thought is he will say something that doesn't make the markets happy, and we'll see volatility move up, and we'll put pressure. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. On the S&P, pushing it towards $585 a share. That is my thinking. Now, I hope I'm completely wrong. And I hope he does lower interest rates. And I hope he does free up borrowing. And we could potentially grow ourselves out of this mess. But I think politically, this is what's dictating the Fed, and they're not going to do it. And so that, I think, creates one of two scenarios. One, the market ignores it, and Friday option expiration goes past, and we go into more of a bullish environment, and the systematic and volatility funds readjust after July 2nd, and we start to see some upward trend in the market. Or the market says we've had enough, and we readjust valuations, and we pull back, and we retrace some of this upward movement we've seen since April 9th, and we retrace 50% of that and bring ourselves back down to this area of 550 on the S&P. I think more likely we'll see the Fed say do nothing, and his language will be won't be favorable to markets, and we'll have some sort of reaction. I think this is where risk managing these elements, you have to take this into effect. The other thing I got to think about, somebody wanted to talk about defense stocks. When I saw that, my first thought was, how could you have thought about defense stocks 2 months ago when they probably were priced lower? How would you have looked at it from a macro point of view of what will happen, probability of something happening in the Middle East? Could you have sort of anticipated this? And I suspect people have, but it's something I've thought about, like on a long-term investment basis, is how can you anticipate opportunities in the future? And I think those are one of the things that's become a better investor, is to look at the bigger picture of what is really happening and take all these variables into play. We know the Middle East is just a hot plate at this point, and has been for quite a while. And this attack on Israel, from Israel to Iran, doesn't surprise me. And that's something I think as an investor, we can take advantage of that thinking. So when you're out riding your horse or jumping out of airplanes, maybe a thought is, what will the world look like in the next 30 to 90 days? And I suspect China will be one of those things to think about. So that is my rant for the day. Hoping 100 basis point adjustment downward by the Fed would be awesome, and I think this market would take off. But I've only had one cup of coffee, so clear thinking isn't coming to play.
I think you're right. I don't. You're trying to think out 6 months to a year. I can't even think what's going to happen in the next hour of this whole market session. Everything is so news driven, and it's instant. And someone says this, and the market goes up. Someone says this, the market goes down. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you got to go to the charts and follow the charts and find the ones that are giving you the best probability of some success, and live your life. And you don't have to be in the market every single day when you trade. Okay. When you invest, you're in the market more often than not, because markets tend to go up 80% of the time more than the 20% of the time they go down. So that's where we are. Patrick's here. Patrick, we missed you yesterday. We thought you were deep in some discussions on.
No, I'm sorry. I went to see Mission Impossible. That's why
I did too. I loved it.
I saw that 2 weeks ago. It was really good.
We watched that final one, and we have watched Mission Impossible for the last 3 nights.
Really?
We have watched an episode, and I'm like, this is a franchise I'm going to miss.
No, it's not going to. And he's still alive, so there'll probably be another few, I would
Oh,
think.
there's another one.
Oh, there has to
Yeah,
be,
but-
because John Wick got killed off and he came back, so.
The fact that he's still alive, that means there's going to be more, because he
Yeah.
gets he gets an extra $100 million every pick because he's a producer now, so he'll want to keep milking it.
Yeah. Here's the thing I have. If we're going to look at investing in markets and anticipating what is going to happen in the future, I would say, based on that comment, Patrick, we need to be investing in a Grecian formula because a gray-haired Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible ain't going to go. With a cane, no. Grecian formula, make that hair dark, make him look good, a little AI adjustment to his face. And you're right. You got another another 8 episodes of Mission Impossible.
I hope
Yeah.
so. Tom Cruise is only 3 months younger than me.
And he's
You're probably
got
you're in just as
he's
good a
going-
shape as him, aren't you?
he's going out with a 29-year-old as well, Ana de Armas, the Mexican actress. So
So he's a better man than I am, because I couldn't handle that.
anyway.
Nor would I want to.
Sorry to divert you from
You
my.
go, Patrick, you go out with a 29-year-old, they want you to jump out of planes and stuff, and I'm not doing that.
Well, talking about buying things, I bought myself a mattress this week from Dreams. And
From where?
Dreams. It's the most favorite mattress in the UK. It's part of the Tempur Sealy International Group.
Okay.
And so when I was looking at it's the ticker symbol is TPX, T for Tommy, P for Patrick, X for X-ray. If you can get it up for me, I want to show you something. If you could do a 5-year spread.
Is that a European stock?
Yeah.
No, it's an American stock, TPX.
No.
T as in Tom, P as
P
in
for
Patrick.
as in Patrick, X for X-ray.
No.
It's Tempur-Pedic, right?
It's not coming up on mine. That's
Ah.
TPX. It's invalid symbol.
Oh dear. Anyway, I looked at the graph and it shows that there's a 10% spike every July, and it coincides with the sales. Normally in America, there are sales for mattresses in July, and they sell their old stock off at half price. So
Yeah, we call it Christmas in July.
yeah, that's it. So
Yeah.
you better look out for bargains coming up in mattresses. So it's I call it a seasonal metric anyway. So there we are.
This doesn't have to do anything with your Hooker index, does it?
Not really, but it's a useful because it yields 10.4% per annum of the S&P over the last 40 years.
What does anyone have the real ticker symbol?
What's the name? What is the
Tempur-Pedic. It's Tempur-Pedic
Tempur Sealy.
or Sealy.
Sealy, yeah, Tempur Sealy. TEMPUR. They amalgamated.
Tempur Sealy International?
Yeah, but there's several different ones. One's TPD.SG.
That could be it.
I think this one is TPD, but
That's
I think
probably
this
it.
is.
No, that's not coming up either.
That isn't coming up either.
I think that is on. Yeah, I don't think that's it. Yeah, that is. What exchange is that? With Trading Views, you can pull up all the different international exchanges, so it gets a little
Right.
confusing.
Try SGI.
SGI. Somna Group International.
That could be it, yeah.
All right, let's take a look. And let's go back a couple of years. And let's look for July 7. Here's July right here. Okay. And then we're in July, right? Coming up on July. Let's go back a little further. Find the other July. Here's July. Must be some sales in December too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Is this a mattress company? Has anyone looked it up as far as what
Yeah,
they
it must
do?
be the mattress company. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. So there's a seasonal variation there. So it's worth bearing in mind.
Yeah,
You don't think of mattresses as being seasonal, do you?
Well, it appears
I'll
to be.
tell.
It's the company.
Yesterday, I went to where mattresses die.
Oh,
We
God.
bought a mattress and we had to get rid of it, so I took it to the dump. I went and visited our local dump. That's a good business right there because it's just constant inflow of people paying to dump stuff. But there are mattresses everywhere, so you could get one at discount, Patrick, if you go to your local dump.
Where I live, Patrick, you can just drive down the county roads and you're bound to find one in the ditch.
Well, that's Alabama for you. So,
Here too.
You'd need to hose it down several times before you'd use it, I imagine.
oh no. Hey, a little dirt in a wound makes you tougher.
Okay.
The immune
We have
system.
really denigrated down on this one.
Yeah. Talking about other, I've got two other, I've got two other metrics to talk about, and that is the war metric. Over the last 50 years, there've been 70 world wars in the last 50 years, and the S&P falls by 6.4% by day 10 on average every time. Okay.
Did you go verify that?
What?
Have you verified that? Have you gone back and
I
looked
have.
at it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So by day 10 will be June the 23rd. So the S&P on average would have fallen predictably by 6.4%. So if you look at a stock with a beta metric of 2, you multiply it by 2, for example, Palantir or Nvidia, and you're looking at a 12 to 13% fall.
So you think they're going to fall 13%?
Well, that's what the metrics are saying anyway.
Huh.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's on average what happens.
What do you guys think about that? About Amazon and their new CPU? Do you guys follow any of that?
I think it was inevitable. I mean, this has been going talk about them, everybody doing their own GPU, CPU thing. I think it's probably GPUs they're probably talking about. Is
Yeah, it
it
says
CPU or
announced
GPU?
Graviton 4 chip includes 600 gigabytes per second. Central processing unit, one of the many chip products come from Amazon's Annapurna lab in Austin, is a win for the company's custom strategy, putting up against traditional semiconductor players like Intel and AMD. The real battles with NVIDIA at AWS reInvent 24 conference last December. The company announced Project Rainier, AI supercomputer built for startup Anthropic. They put $8 billion into it. So Amazon is looking to reduce AI training costs and provide alternatives to NVIDIA as expensive graphics processing units or GPUs. Anthropic's Claude model launched on 2 GPUs according to AWS. Project Rainier is powered by 500,000 of the chips in order that would have traditionally gone to NVIDIA. So do you think there's any, I mean, is this a real threat to NVIDIA or not? I don't know. I don't follow these guys.
Honestly, I think it comes down to price. And I think
Price.
you bring more competition into the game, which this is competition, you're going to force price adjustments, and which affects margins. And so I think it's inevitable. Every industry sees this. One industry comes out as the leader. Eventually, competition's going to say, "I don't want to pay for this, so let's go build it ourselves." And they do so. And so I don't know, maybe this evens or levels out the semiconductor market a bit and creates more competition. Competition is good for you and I because it gets cheap, things get cheaper for us to do
Yeah,
so.
I don't think of Amazon as a chip company or a CPU chip company, but I guess they are. They're investing in it.
I didn't think of them any more than a book company back in the 90s.
You know?
Now they're my full shopping. And now I also look at it and go, they're walking away from retail because now Walmart is taking the step in. And unfortunately, I've been to a Walmart 4 times in the last week and a half, and they're killing it. They're fully packed out. And I think for survival, Amazon is saying, "Hey, we became profitable because we started renting out server space that was not being used, 10 months out of the year, and they started becoming profitable. And I think this is just that evolution of a company to stay relevant.
It'll be interesting to see, when Walmart, you say Walmart's busy, I avoid it like the plague, but it'd be interesting to see when they come out with their next earnings, exactly what their share of wallet of every customer is. Are they just buying the essentials now?
Yeah.
So you're only getting, X amount of someone's purchasing power, then the discretionaries are not there anymore. But it'll be interesting. You see Walmart's down. We looked at it before. Costco's down.
Mark, a lot of people are ordering online and just
Yeah.
picking it up, pull into a spot and just pick it up, or have it delivered to your house. They're doing it faster than Amazon. I think Amazon's dropping the ball.
I think Amazon probably is refocused, just what I'm looking at, into the AI world. And maybe they're just not as focused on retail as they once were, Bob. I don't know.
So interesting you bring up AI. On top of that, Sam Altman's trying to, not Sam Altman, Zuckerberg's trying to steal Sam Altman's top AI guys by offering them $100 million bonus.
I had to turn them down, by the way, because I was not moving to Silicon Valley.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work. The top guys are well flush with options.
But in that structure of OpenAI, how do they make cash in on that? I mean, do they
Options.
become public company eventually?
Eventually, yeah. They can become,
Yeah.
they get options in their deal and they're working for those options. And when it goes public,
But it
They're-
isn't
they're
OpenAI a
well,
nonprofit?
hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not more,
Yeah. Yeah. There's your next billionaires.
Could be.
Isn't it OpenAI a nonprofit?
No, they switched it about 6 months ago.
Okay.
That was the pet peeve of Elon. He didn't want
Okay.
it to be for profit. He wanted it to be for nonprofit. And that was the issue that he had with Sam Altman. And that's their falling out.
Was
Because
that
he doesn't
because
want
was
people
that
to be evil with it, right?
Yeah.
In other words, Elon wants AI to be your co-pilot. They don't want AI to take over all your tasks and everything you do and make you basically nothing to the market, right?
Yeah, see, you don't hear much from Elon anymore since he's out of the spotlight a little bit.
Laying low. He's got to get has to get Tesla in order, right?
So what's the big what's he got to do with Tesla besides pay attention to it?
He's got to get the robo taxi, which I heard yesterday is now delayed. So,
Weren't they going to roll that out in Austin here this summer?
they were supposed to roll it out this month, I believe,
Oh,
or
okay.
next month. But that's now been delayed because they were testing it and one of their vehicles had a serious accident. So more development is required.
How is it their competition? I forget the name of it, but I saw them in Austin last time I was there. How is it they're able to do it and yet Tesla's having a problem?
Is that Mimo or whatever they call it, that got burned up in LA?
Oh, is that?
They were burning
Yeah,
those cars in LA, but that's called Mimo, or is that the
I think so. It's something like that.
Wemo.
Wemo
That's it.
with a W. Okay.
Yeah, Wemo. That's the other one.
Is that's an American company, isn't it?
Waymo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Wemo. I think
Waymo.
Wemo.
According to
it's
LeBron said Waymo. Yeah.
Wemo. Yeah.
So is that a publicly traded company, Waymo?
think Waymo's Google.
Google.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Google
So
owns
Google,
Yeah, but that is interesting why they're doing it. I guess all over the city, in all kinds of cities, testing it.
yeah.
Google, yeah, it's maintaining above the 200. You know, Google's kind of rolling.
Yeah.
Just not
Google's
as
got problems. I think you're gonna see this. It's gonna track sideways. Everybody's trying to figure out where they're going. They did just come out with an um, AI video setup. I didn't look into it yet. I just heard about it from my people. But I
Is
heard that they
it
came
makes
out with
video, it makes AI videos?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's
I haven't done the homework yet.
it's insane.
You saw it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all over Instagram and TikTok. They
Okay.
use the big one that you can find on Instagram is like a Yeti out in the uh out in the woods, and just people have made different scenarios. I've seen couple with Mary and Joseph and um Moses and the Ark, and the realistic look of it, and you can only create, I think, 8-second videos, but these guys are going in and they're making 8-second videos and they're linking them together, and it's phenomenal. It is just the realism is just incredible, and that's where I look at it and go, This is a pretty sizable breakthrough." Now, at some point, they're going to have to monetize it because I think it's free right now, but I forget the
Yeah,
name
I
of
got to
it.
figure that out.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing. Could Tom Cruise continue to make Possible movies? Yes, with the
Not be in the movie?
technology. What's that?
And not be in the movie
And not be in the
Mark,
movie.
physically?
It is,
Like your
you need
dad can
to,
now fully retire from
hey,
making
he
Mark,
can,
videos?
he will, his whole talk about living forever, Google nailed it. So you need to check it out, but it's pretty phenomenal, how realistic it looks.
Yeah.
Um, but people have definitely taken it to a whole nother extreme for sure. Uh, yeah.
we,
So
Mark, could you,
Paul, why do you think Palantir would break out at this point? What
oh, if you put up the
what
chart, you could see it consolidated for a few trading days and then it
yeah, but
popped above, so.
yeah, I see it. I'm looking at it. The issue
Yeah.
with this is just so far in front of itself. How much more can it break out? I mean, that's
Well, it just turned yesterday, so breakout looks to be negative.
right.
Ster
Right, but I'm
Sterling,
just saying, how could it break out? I mean, it's just so high at this point. I mean, did another push. I don't
yeah,
know.
Lex kind of was trending up
It's
more
got to
than
come out with some blowout earnings, I think, for it to push further.
well, that's what I thought. I kind of thought it was weird, you know, Palantir with this war going on that they're not doing better, you know. This would be right up their alley, you know.
Isn't this
I mean,
not owned by
it's
institutions all that much?
he's more going towards commercial now. He is into institutions, but he's also um, helping, regular companies
No, but I
streamline.
mean institutions, like institutional, like hedge funds and
No,
mutual funds, they're
it's
not
no.
buying this.
I don't believe so. I think it's 40% institutional. I think.
So
We
they
talked about this
for the
before. I was surprised in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly retail buyers, and that's why I would say this last leg that it pushed up was because additional retailers buying into it. And to go back to Patrick's comment about that, this is basically if it pulls back 15%, but if you're up 150%, 200%, what's 15%, right? Because a
yeah.
lot of retailers are up big time on this. Because they bought it
Look at
back when it was $60 or $30,
Did you did you start the
yeah.
short Fastenal?
No, I didn't start that yet. I didn't have the chance because I'm flying today. But when I hit Florida, I'm gonna look into it because I want to know. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I have to look into when earnings are because that's an important point.
Yeah, it
To
hit
their move.
resistance for like 4 days.
Look at that, yeah.
Now it's down to the 20.
I'm, it's still gonna pull back as you can see. It pulls back,
Yeah,
and you go back again. See it?
yeah.
It's
July
just
14th.
it's July 14th. Okay.
Yeah.
So next, they got about a little less than a month. So
Yeah.
that's gonna go back up again. It'll come down, it'll pull down. What's the yellow line? 9,
This is the 50.
50, 50? Okay.
Yeah, this
So
is
it'll
the
probably
20.
come down to the 50 and then go back up.
The oscillators are looking down and momentum's down for sure. And it has resistance, and then you got the Bollinger straightening out, flattening
If
out
you
a
look
little.
at-
So
If you look at the pullbacks, the 2, 3 times prior to that, it's the same thing.
Palantir.
I put up
Get
sterling silver.
SMCI. We haven't talked about that in a long time.
What is it? That's what?
SMCI.
Super micro.
Yeah, this used to be everybody's talk, and all of a sudden nobody talks about it anymore. At least I don't hear anything.
Sideways.
Yeah, sideways. Is this a accumulation phase? Um, it looks like it, from a RSI standpoint, it looks like it is, but I guess it goes back to what would drive this higher. Is this potentially a setup to go higher?
Gonna have the 50 cross the 200 here.
Yeah.
How about Taiwan semi?
Is that TSM?
Um,
There we go.
Hmm.
Where that damn resistance line.
resistance.
Yeah,
Hey, Mark,
yeah.
toss up Humana. These Medicare stocks got beat up really bad when United Health got thrown under the bus. And if you look at Humana's chart, they got thrown out too. And they are now, it's just that's a nice start climb. And I'm telling you, Humana is a beast in the market, in the Medicare business. This is this thing here, I think will just have a nice steady climb up. So anybody that likes conservative, fairly safe environments, this one here, I think has got huge potential for just a nice run up.
Hey, Mark, the top Bollinger Band is pointing,
Oh,
Yeah.
pointing down.
Yeah, it is.
mhm.
That's
That's
And
because,
resistance
that's
is
because
not
it
too
got
far away.
hammered. I'm just saying it's coming off the bottom.
Don't, yeah, yeah.
But if you look
I
at, this is the RSI, it's starting to come up, but then you look at the SS and it's same thing with the MACD is starting to point a little bit down.
Good volume though.
I've been
Yeah.
seeing
This thing here is just going to be a steady climber, and the longer this goes with no attention paid to it, the more it will climb. They're just
think
too.
it had a-
They're
it
just
had
too
a-
much
it
of the.
showed-
They're just
it
too
showed
much
a-
of the senior Medicare business.
Yeah, it showed a really good day yesterday, and we'll see where it ends up today. It could come back down. If it keeps going up, that you'll see this Bollinger start to roll the other
Start
way.
to roll up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the MACD looks pretty good. Got a little bit of flattening on the stochastic, and the momentum's up. Of course, the momentum's up. We had a pretty good candle, but we've seen, and I said it earlier in the week when I put out the list that healthcare, we've seen it kind of. Let's see, XLV. Healthcare has
All
been
right,
doing
guys.
well.
I gotta
until
go.
yesterday. All right, have a
Take
good
care. I
day.
gotta fly.
Safe
Travels.
travels.
See you on the other side, Trent.
Hope your arms
All
don't
right,
get tired.
man. Take care.
Take
Bye,
care.
bye.
Bye.
But yesterday on the healthcare sector, we kind of hit a dumpster here. Let's look at Lilly because we were following Lilly for a while. You see, Lilly had a dump yesterday too. That's probably why we're seeing the XLV go down too. That, you know, and I don't know if that's just because the market in general went down or something happened, but I went right to about support. But yeah, you know, I keep an eye on that. Put Humana on your list for sure, just like United Health, because United Health's the same way. At some point, you know,
Did we
it
get
hasn't
any
breached.
news last, did we get any war news last night, or was it just more of the same?
We had the Ayatollah come out and he had a video of he's gonna wreak destruction on the earth. He had a missile where he's someone's hand stroking a nuclear missile, and then he put that out if the U.S. gets involved. And I don't know, you know, I saw an interview and a story from the Jerusalem Times that they had Israel had 60 fighter jets up, and every time they would try to light off a ballistic missile, they pinpointed it and destroyed the launchers. And majority of their launchers are now destroyed. And they also destroyed last night the factory that makes these missiles, and I think a couple refineries. So I don't know where Iran's going to get any kind of resupply, but it doesn't appear that they're going to win this thing, in my opinion.
Well, it's probably good that we only have 2 trading days in the next 4 or 5 days. So maybe these guys can settle this thing while the market's closed. And we
I think
don't
it's
have
beyond, from what I'm hearing, beyond the point of negotiation at this point, but from this side of the pond, I don't know what Patrick's hearing. Patrick hears differently than we do. That seems the news is different on that side of the pond.
They think it's a lose-lose situation for America because the bunker busting bombs won't be able to reach the enrichment uranium in the mountains. They're too deep.
I'm not so assured of that, Patrick.
I don't buy that one, Patrick, at all.
Because the bunker busting bomb can only penetrate 61 meters of concrete, whereas they're buried up to 1,000 feet below sea level.
See,
you keep dropping more bunker buster bombs in the same spot over and over and over. They'll get there.
To reach these depths, you'd have to use a nuclear tip on the bunker busting bomb, and that would create World War III.
I'm not convinced that that's the actual figure, because Patrick, that would be a classified figure of how far these bunker busters can go. They've only been used once. I believe that Trump used it in Afghanistan for the Taliban at one time. But
I mean, the Pentagon did an internal survey in March, and they found that
honey.
There was no evidence that they were moving to the phase of producing a nuclear weapon. It's remained the same in the last 20 years. So it's really about regime change. It's not about this nuclear warhead. I think that's just a ruse. It's just they just want to change the regime. That's the reason behind it.
I disagree with that, but everyone has an opinion. I think they were probably pretty close from what information I've looked at. Again, I look at the same kind of stuff you get, Patrick's, and we make our inferences about what we think about that. So I think when you have a nuclear program like that, if it took 20 years, you know, I don't know. I just think intelligence is better than that.
They have 60% enrichment at the moment, and it only takes a matter of 3 weeks to go from 60% to 90%, which is a nuclear bomb ready situation.
But I guess if I were the Ayatollah, why would I threaten that I'm going to use that I have a nuclear device, I'm going to use it? You know, if you get involved in the war. And if I'm the president of the United States saying this guy says he has a nuclear bomb, and if we get involved, he's going to use it, that's not a deterrent to me. That's an enticement to me to go take care of it. Don't you think?
It depends on whether the evidence is I mean, there's no evidence that they have a nuclear bomb at the moment. No one,
Other
no,
than,
there's
other
no
than he
evidence.
said he's, other than said he's gonna use it. I
But he
mean,
hasn't. But he hasn't said he's going
yeah,
to
but
use
we,
it.
no, he did last night.
No, I mean, who did?
Yeah, I told you with his video he sent out. I can send you the
Said he was
video.
going to use it. Well, I'm sure he's bluffing. He doesn't.
Can you
Let's
take a
hope
chance
so.
at a nuclear weapon on a bluff? I guess is my question. So anyway, if that happens, we don't have to worry about the meeting on Friday.
No, we don't.
We need Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
That's right.
Tom, we need Maverick and Rooster. We definitely do. They'll take care of that.
Right.
I saw it do it. And speaking
All
of another
right.
franchise, that's another Tom Cruise franchise. I think if it weren't for Mission Impossible and the Maverick Top Gun series, we wouldn't have had any movies to watch in the last year.
I
Yeah.
know. The whole Jason Bourne series is gone.
Well, but John Wick is back.
No, there's a new one coming out soon. Jason Bourne is reprising his role again very soon before Christmas.
Good. Good.
Also coming
That's
up,
good.
what your dad Trent will like is F1 with what you call it. He's in it.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. It's supposed to be very good.
Yeah, I saw I've seen some previews. I'm curious I don't think I'll go to the movie theater to watch it, but I'll wait for it to come out on Apple. I think it's an Apple production, if I remember right.
It's a man's Ruby. It's a man's sort of film anyway. I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll get enticed to go and see Barbie film. You weren't forced to go and see that, were you?
Well, actually, I did go see that.
Hold
It
on.
was actually pretty entertaining. It was hilarious. So, anyhow,
Okay.
all right. Well, I gotta hit the road before somebody drops a bomb on a refinery here in somewhere, and drives oil prices up.
But they're already up. All right, guys, have a good one. No meeting tomorrow because it's a holiday in the United States.
Have a good one, Patrick.
Yep.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
Well, take care.
We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Bye.
Talk to
See you
later.
later. Bye.